All right, guys. Our next guest is set to rematch Iaquinta in the main event of UFC on Fox 31 Milwaukee. The Motown Phenom himself is back on Submission Radio. Kevin Lee, welcome back to the program, man. How are you?
What's going on, my man? Always good to be here. Always.
Dude, Kevin, last time we spoke to you, we were all at a vodka party at UFC HQ ahead of UFC 229. And you were good. You were staying ready in case something didn't work out on that card. Now you're officially in the main event of UFC on Fox 31. How does it actually feel to have a date, place, and opponent finally confirmed?
It feels a lot better. You know me. I'm always thinking like a chess player, so I'm always trying to stay a couple steps ahead. So even that weekend when I was getting ready for UFC 229 and kind of seeing how everything would play out, in the back of my head, I already kind of had a plan for all the scenarios that was going to go through. And this one just happened to turn out exactly like I planned, and I can't wait. So it feels good when a plan comes together. Everything feels great, you know what I mean?
So you predicted this. You essentially saw this one coming, right?
You know, I saw a couple different things that could have happened. This happened to be the best case scenario for me. I picked McGregor to win. And I think I did on your show too.
Yeah.
And I got to kind of eat face right there. Like he didn't show up the way that I thought he would. I'm a man. I called that one wrong, but this one is so much sweeter for me now that I get to take that O from Khabib because he still got it.
Just quickly, while we're on UFC 229, what did you think about what happened between Khabib and your nemesis Dylan Dennis on cage side? What was your reaction to that?
I thought something was going to go down that weekend. I think I even said it to you guys. I'm going to keep my head down and keep moving.
Yeah.
I thought it wasn't as bad as what it could have been, especially when you're dealing with those Russians. They so emotional and these guys are such short fuse that I thought it was going to be pretty bad. With that one, it was what it was. I mean, what can you say about it? I honestly don't even know what to say about it, to be honest.
I feel like Khabib took your steam because you and Dennis were supposed to have this grappling match, and it didn't end up happening. What happened there, man? We were all excited for it.
Again, I'm a chess player. Dennis has got to work his way up now. It's levels to this game. Dennis is still, especially now that I'm gonna keep it real with you, especially now that Conor lost. It took a little bit of the motivation out of it for me. I don't really, I like a big challenge, and Conor already showed that he got out grappled and out dominated by Khabib. So I'm gunning after the big gun. If Dennis wants something with me, then he already, my challenge still stays in place, especially after this fight. If he wants it, he can get it, but he's got to work his way up to me. He's got to go through the ranks just like everybody else. I tried to give him that shot, but his boy Conor lost it for him.
It feels like an opportunity lost for Dylan. Now, we noticed you've been absent from Twitter since October 7th. Man, we know you love your social media. Why is that? Why'd you decide to take a break?
On both Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, the whole shebang.
Wow.
I kind of shied away from most of it. Even a lot of media I haven't been doing. Just because at the end of the day, what I do is more important to me. Like my craft, my skill, being able to work on that. I felt like some things, especially in social media, was starting to be too big of a distraction. I'm keeping my eyes on the prize. I'm the youngest guy in the top 10 for a reason, and I'm going to be around for a long, long time. I'm not one of these guys that's going to get to the top and only stay there for a year and a half, whatever. I'm staying there for a long time, and in order to do that, I have to have my craft underneath me. So that's all I've been focusing on what I do. And when I show up on December 15th, you'll see all the work, and it'll be worth missing a couple tweets.
And how lucky are we, right? That you're appearing on the show, even though you're not doing a whole lot of media, absent from social media. Just wondering, sort of, what were those things that were sort of becoming a big thing on social media? We know that, obviously a lot of Khabib fans, very passionate. Were you getting some strong messages, possibly a couple of threats?
I don't care what anybody got to say. I don't care about, all this, especially those Russian fans. Like I said, they're so short-fused. They're so emotional. I don't let people like that get to me. If anything, being away from social media was more of a personal reason. More things have been coming out in the media, and more attention has been brought to mental health, I think, in the past couple of months. And I think social media actually has a big part to do with that. I think it creates a lot of anxiety in people. And you can kind of get caught up in it and forget about what you're doing. on a regular day-to-day basis. So I felt like it was just a big waste of time. I felt like it was a lot for nothing. And what I do in my craft and getting stronger in what I do is going to get me more money at the end of the day than having a couple Twitter beefs with a couple folks. I'm leaving the Twitter for Al. You know, Al Iaquinta, that's what he want to do. He want to go back and forth with folks on Twitter. He's one of them type. I'm in the gym. I'm working. I don't even want to be bothered with this shit. I'm working on what I do.
And just quickly, before we jump to Al, what did you make of all this commotion around a Khabib Floyd Mayweather boxing match? I know you know Mayweather pretty well. I know you've been in that gym with him a few times. What did you think of people talking about that?
Listen, I mean, I give Mayweather some props. I do give him some respect if he does end up stepping into a ring or a cage and doing something that the man hasn't done before, in trying to kickbox or do MMA. I will give him some props for that. But I've even talked to Ali about this, Khabib's manager. He trains over at Extreme Couture with me all the time, and I talked about it. And I'm like, man, come on, we let's restore the actual sport itself. You know, at the end of the day, I think we've had enough of these. Oh, let's put on a super fight, or let's make a fight that the fans want to see and all that. Like it's done, it's over with. I think that time in the sport has passed. I don't even see much intrigue to it. Is anybody really gonna watch Khabib and Floyd do anything together? I mean, it's not much intrigue there. So I talked to Ali and I'm like, come on, what are we doing here? Floyd needs a payday. You know, Floyd spends a lot of money. He needs some more money in his pocket. Let's not give it to him. Let's pay homage to the game and give it to some young guys that are still on their way up.
Kevin Lee, the man of the people. I think you're echoing many people's sentiments, and I think a lot of people agree with that. Okay, so talking about Al Iaquinta, you guys fought at UFC 169. Take us back to that fight, man. What do you remember from that one?
Yeah, I mean, he fought a different person. That was a different person that stepped into that cage that night. That was a college student that took it on 3 weeks' notice just because it was my dream to be in the UFC. I had turned down a lot of other promotions, and that was just kind of the big moment. I didn't really know what I was doing. Wasn't really training like I was supposed to. I've changed everything since that fight. That fight was what made me change and move over to Las Vegas and really start to focus on my training. And he just fought a different kid. You know, he fought a kid that was going out there and just fighting for some Jordans and, kind of trying to look good and finally fighting for some food in my mouth. And now, I got a house, I got cars and things that I'm trying to do. He's fighting a totally different person. And I think that's what you're going to see on December 15th. I've been dedicated to my craft since that fight. And that's what's going to shine through.
How would you sort of compare your evolution to his evolution? Obviously, you would have been keeping an eye on him. Do you feel like he's made those same leaps and bounds that you'll be fighting a different Al Iaquinta as well?
I think Al's tough. Even if you ask him, his biggest attribute is that he's very, very tough, and he's going to stay in there for as long as he can. And that's what he's done. But at the end of the day, the numbers don't lie. I've had 12 fights since our fight. He's only had 6. He's taking some time away from the game. He started doing real estate and he's just trying to do it for the money and if it's worth it to him. I've really dedicated myself to this, and I think I've constantly improved and constantly shown new things during fights, and shown something new every single fight. And from him, you kind of see the same thing. And I think he even will say the same thing. He's strong. He's tough. He's gonna give me a good fight. But he's going to take a beating in front of the world on December 15th, and I think he knows that.
So how do you see this rematch going? Do you imagine it plays out anything like that first fight between you two?
No, I think it's going to be a totally different fight. I think I'm totally different. I think he might be totally different. Our first fight was a great fight. I have a lot of people that still kind of hit me up about that fight. They go back and they watch it, and they say how good it was. But I think this one's going to be totally different. You're looking at somebody that's just, if you watch that first fight and then you see my last fight, you just see a totally different body style. You see a totally different person. And I think that's what you're going to see again. I'm going to show something new, something different. Yes, there's a little bit of that redemption factor for me. I don't really like Al. He don't really like me. We come from 2 totally different lifestyles, but I'm using this to send a message to the rest of the world that I'm on a different level. And I'm using it to send a message to Khabib because he already know. But the rest of the world need to know, and I'm going to show when I'm on a different level.
So, well, on that message, I guess your aim here, and obviously fighting super unpredictable, but your aim is to sort of beat him in a more impressive fashion than Khabib was able to beat Al, right?
Yeah, I mean, Al did good versus Khabib. You know, he went the full 5 rounds. He showed some holes that I've been seeing in Khabib's game for a long time, but he's shown some holes to the world that they haven't seen. And, you know, I'm going to make sure I fill up all those holes, and I show that that I'm on a different level than both those guys. So that's my only focus right now.
I mean, this is just a little bit of fun because Al is the next guy, but the division in general is pretty unclear at the moment. You got guys like Dustin Poirier, who's going to be healthy soon. Tony Ferguson is waiting for a potential title shot, but we don't know if he's going to be fighting Khabib. Who are you looking at? You even got a guy like Donald Cerrone, who's moving back down to lightweight, and everybody is back on Donald Cerrone's sort of bandwagon. Who's the guy that you'd be looking at potentially next if you do get this marquee win over Al?
Yeah, it's an exciting time in the division. That's why I even said if they open up this 165 division, which I feel like they're going to do, I'm still going to stay at 155. I feel like I got to get this belt first. You know, I'm looking straight to the top. I'm looking at Khabib. You know, people think he's this undefeated and you know, he's just this Russian tank. I've been calling that man out for 2 years now. So we definitely, you know, like I said, I train with his manager. I see him around all the time. They know I'm the biggest threat for him. I just have to do my job and convincing the rest of the world. But that's the only fight that I'm really looking at. He's the biggest challenge, I think. And he gives me the most, he'll really get me up out of the bed, you know? The rest of these guys, Tony is still out there. If I'm being completely honest, he does deserve the next title shot. You know, if they make that fight happen in the beginning of the year, then I'll be waiting for the winner. Either way, as long as Tony or Khabib hold that title, I'll be here at 155 to take it from him. We gotta, me and them, we gotta get it in. You know, before they retire, you know, Khabib's talking about, oh, he just want to fight and then go ahead and retire before he really even fought anybody. I can't let that happen. We gotta get it in. It's inevitable that our paths gonna cross.
I'm just curious. It must be a funny dynamic because if you're friends with Ali and you train with him, but at the same time you're trying to fight Khabib, what are those conversations like? I know Ali isn't the biggest fan of people talking trash about Khabib. Do you guys ever get in little arguments or training about things that you say on social media? And what kind of stuff does he say to you in terms of you fighting Khabib?
Yeah, I mean, we go back and forth. Ali's fun. He's fun. He's kind of like me a little bit. He gonna speak his mind. He not gonna let you influence him. He kind of marched to his own drum. So it's kind of fun when you get two guys that are like that and are both outspoken. At the end of the day, we're both professionals. We both know, you know, we're doing this for bigger than just ourselves. You know, he's got a family. I've got a family that I'm looking after. I respect it. But he knows what I'm doing, and he knows that I'm the real challenge. And I make that very, very, very clear to him every time I see him. I'm going to probably go see him later on today, and we're going to talk some more shit. He keeps me sharp. I will say that. He keeps my shit talking and the whole shebang. He keep it all sharp. It's fun.
Yeah, it's funny. You mentioned the shit talking, but I feel like there's not going to be much this lead up. You said that you're sort of off Twitter, off social media, and you mentioned sort of mental health before. I know that you sort of had a few things that you got over not that long ago. Is it fair to say that this is sort of the best mindset, Kevin Lee, that has been around for a long time going into this fight?
Absolutely, and I think that's what you're going to see during the fight. I think that's what's going to make the big difference is when you go back and you watch our first fight and then you watch this one. Not only will you see physically that I've changed a lot, but you'll see mentally too. You know, I've grown a lot since then. I've grown a lot in the past like 6-7 months, and you know, I think that's what I'm really trying to. I don't necessarily. I just give people the real me. And I think as long as I do that, then people kind of feel it and they resonate with it. And I think, you know, as long as you're steady evolving and as long as you're steady trying to grow, not only is that physically but mentally as well, then people kind of respect it and they see it. And I think that's what you're going to see, and that's what's going to make the big difference.
Is that Dewey Cooper popping up in the background?
It is Dewey. It was his birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Dewey. Are you taking him out, Kevin? Are you giving him a present?
Hotel be not working. Be ready, motherfuckers. Be ready.
Yeah, we just got done doing some training, so I figured I'd go ahead and pop on Skype with you guys.
Oh, man. Well, we really appreciate the time, Kevin. Before we let you go, we want to get a quick prediction from you. But I have to say, I think it's really cool how you're staying off social media because I think a lot of fighters think They have to spend all their time on social media, and it shows you that when there's a great fight, you don't necessarily have to sit on social media all day having to promote it. So cheers to you for doing that and sort of setting that standard. So as we wrap up, a prediction from you, sir. How do you see yourself beating Al in this big rematch?
Well, let me give you one more first, because, to stay on that, just because I do think it's important, I think that we have to keep evolving even the way that we promote fights. And even the way that we kind of do this, social media has been big for the UFC for a long, long time. But I feel like, there's more ways to get it done. There's more ways to do this than just kind of the same barking at each other all the time. If you do the same things over and over and over again, it gets kind of stale. So I'm just trying to show a little bit of evolution in the game. And, I think that's going to show. And it's going to show when I fight Al, I'm going to humiliate him. I'm going to just show that I'm better than him everywhere. How the fight goes will be up to him. He's a very tough guy. He will stay in there for as long as you let him. But I'll make him quit, and he'll get up out of there. I think I'll put that man to sleep.
All right, well, it's going to be very exciting. Guys, don't forget to follow Kevin on Twitter and Instagram at Motown Phenom. It is about quality, not quantity here. When he does post, it's going to be amazing. UFC on Fox 31 goes down at Milwaukee, December 15th in the US, 16th in Australia. Kevin, we know you're not doing much media now, so we really, really, really appreciate you jumping on the show with us, man. Thank you so much.
Of course, my man. Of course, I appreciate you guys. As always, you guys are good people, so I appreciate it.
Thanks. We'll enjoy a vodka at the next party, Kevin. Take care and best of luck.
My man.